get out a little more Indian yellow here. Far and away my favorite yellow color. And I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if we're broadcasting yet. I think we are. There we are. You see that in the tube it looks like an orange, but it's transparent. So when it's spread out thin, it's in fact a very intense yellow. So don't be tricked or fooled by how it looks in the tube. All right, hello gang, my name's Dan. This is Daily Art Adventure number 977. Yahoo, back in the saddle again. And this is going to be a real short broadcast on, I'm calling it the magic of cross temperature glaze. Sorry I don't have a shorter word for that, but there we go. Now we're official. So I set out to start working on this painting without your company. Oh, wait a minute. This would be a fun, short, quick little broadcast on what I call cross temperature glaze. So right now, this painting is decidedly cool. I started this yesterday. You can watch my last broadcast. Started it yesterday, worked on it a little bit last night in oil. Did the glaze over the acrylics, right? And then did some opaque and translucent oil on top of that. And I'm happy with the way that's going. Of course, it's all dry. But when I got up this morning, I thought, wow, you know what? This is a cool painting. This would be a perfect opportunity to do cross temperature. Sometimes I even use the term, we cross the equator, if you will, from all the cool colors to all the warm colors. And so I'm going to do that right now. I'm mixing up, at the moment, a little bit of Indian yellow and some kind of orange. I don't care what kind of orange. I guess it turns out I have two colors on my palette that I don't care what color they are, greens and oranges. All right, so cross temperature means the painting is cool, I'm doing warm on top of it. That's what I mean by crossing the temperature barrier, crossing the temperature equator. I don't like that term better. Cool on top of warm, or in this case, warm on top of cool. When you're dealing with perfectly transparent glazes, creates sometimes some really magical effects. Now, what I just put on there is way too orange as opposed to yellow, so I just picked up some more Indian yellow. Rub it again. And still staying with warm now, I'm going to pick up some oxide red, which of course is a brownish red. Now let me quickly, for those of you who perhaps are not accustomed to painting in this manner, everything on the canvas is dry. That's important to understand. You can't do this on a wet painting. This is not alla prima painting, okay? Therefore, it's important to understand that everything that I'm putting on right now, I can just as easily take off. I can completely remove. If I really wanted to do that, if I really wanted to take off everything that I'm putting on, I would dip my rag in my Gamsol brush cleaner and wipe it all off. So I have complete freedom to experiment. I can do whatever I want. In other words, I will admit freely, I'm exaggerating right now. I wouldn't normally go probably quite this warm, but for the sake of demonstration, I want to exaggerate it. Now, I'm going to put those brushes in my damn saw. They're just sitting there, not hurting anybody for a while. And I'm going to wipe with a tissue, wipe the warm stuff. By the way, as you regulars all know, I'm using Liquin is my go-to medium. I'm going to put a little more. Okay, let me think for a minute here. I'm going to do some glazes in other colors, probably cool, which won't be on top of this warm. You now see if I let this sit for an hour and a half or an hour, this would be complete. Everything I just did would be dry in an hour. And then if I did a glaze on top of that, that would be, for instance, cool on top of warm, because this is decidedly a warm painting now. It has little hints of cool blue, but it's way warm. But if I go ahead right now and do warm on top of this wet glaze, the two glazes will mix up, so it's not quite the same. Mixing layers of glaze is not the same as mixing a glaze. For instance, if you put a green glaze on your painting, then put a yellow while it's still wet. If you put blue glaze on your painting and then yellow while it's still wet, what do you end up with? Green, right? But if you wait till one is dry, and this especially in acrylics where they dry quickly, if you put down blue and then yellow, you don't get the same green. You get the feeling of blue on top of yellow. All right, let me think for just a minute though. As I said, I think I over-exaggerated for the sake of demonstration. I either want to wipe some of that brown off, especially in the sky. Some. Now I don't hate it. Don't get me wrong. I like. Wow, that was interesting. And I'm playing with myself. Do you understand? I'm experimenting visually as well as demonstrating to you. I'm experimenting visually. My question is, do I want to wipe some of that brown off before I do? And I think I do, because if I do blue on top of this brown, it's going to be entirely too dark. So. Again, here's the safety net. Here's why glazing is so much fun and so easy, because just a few swishes of the brush. Rag. This is a rag, not a brush. A few swipes of the rag, and I'm lifting off. Now, as I often say, a beginner might say, well, if you're going to take it off, why'd you put it on in the first place? But I'm not taking it all off, right? This is obvious, right? Right? Just want to make sure this is obvious, right? I'm just taking some off. And it's so fun to be able to paint in this manner, because I can have all the advantages of being a control freak in my painting, which we're all tempted to be control freaks, right? We're all tempted. I get all the benefits of control freak painting without the downside of tightness. So it's so much fun to be able to. There we go. All right, the painting is better. Gang, I don't know how to tell you this. I hate to break the news to you. But in just those few minutes, I spent more time talking than I did painting. Just those couple of minutes, my painting got better. It's a better painting than it was just a few minutes ago. And I could stop right there and say, ladies and gentlemen, that is the magic of cross-equatorial, going from the world, the northern hemisphere of cool colors to the southern hemisphere of warm, or vice versa. That's just amazing. That's not bragging, that's me going, dang, that looks good. You understand. Hey, Michael, appreciate it, thank you. It must be early. No, it's late, I'm sorry. Early, what am I thinking? All right, so now I've got a little bit of phthalo and ultramarine on these brushes, because I do like the painting better, but I think I'll like it even better if I come up here in the sky. Again, this is me getting to be a control freak with super fine adjustments, very fine adjustments. Again, without the downside of that we normally experience when we're doing anything super fine. So I'm using big brushes, but I'm able to control it. I don't know, some of you, if you work in Photoshop, the beauty of working on a computer and digital media is, with your sliders and so forth, and in Photoshop, for instance, you have such exquisite control of the product, and that's sort of what this feels like. It's like I'm controlling the color palette of the painting so precisely. It's just fun. There, I think I'm done. I wish I could toggle back and forth. I mean, you guys could do it in your video. You could go back to the beginning of this video, look at the painting the way it was at the very beginning, then compare it to right now. And I hope you would say, wow, wow. Just what was rather flat, like especially like the side of this truck, it was kind of all the late work that it did in it was quite bright white. And now there's a dirty white there, and it's just, this is me again, control freak, painting, lifting out a little bit more. I mean, it's, anyway, this is me just being weird artsy. I just love the effect. And again, as you know, if you want to stick me into any category, if you have to say, okay, what is the most distinctive characteristic of Dan Nelson painting? I think the answer would have to be transparent color. That would have to be the number one characteristic. And voila, there's why. That's just magical. I'll clean those brushes again. Oh, wait. Let me pause. Yeah, okay, let me pick up some clean, smaller brushes. Here's, I'm looking for, let's see if I can find a 1-inch bristle. Here we go, I just have one. As you can tell, I love these cheap little chip brushes. All right, before I leave the world of glazing, I'm going to stick this brush again. I dip it in liquid, so it's pretty heavily saturated with liquid. And then I just put a little bit of permanent rose in it. So that's red. You got it? Red. Cool red. Almost any painting looks better with a little bit, a hint, a blush. That's the word. With a tiny blush of permanent rose in it. That's just one of those crazy rules that almost always works. It doesn't even have to make sense, so to speak. That's right, pictorially, it doesn't have to make sense. Just that little hint is magical. All right, the other thing I will say about all glazes, but this one in particular, I have pushed, exaggerated, if you will, the contrast. I made the whole painting darker, right, by doing glaze over the whole thing. Then with a rag, I lifted out some areas to make them lighter. Therefore, I've exaggerated the contrast. Therefore, I have, I think my favorite word would be, I'm going to do a little bit more glazing. I have solidified or confirmed the composition of the painting, especially in this case, and it's pretty typical, especially because with the pushing of the vignette, darkening the corners. Vignette is a very good tool, and yes, the great majority of my paintings, I employ that trick. It's not always. Don't say, oh, you should always. That's what I would hate to hear some teacher or some painter say something like, you should always do a vignette. No. It's not an always kind of thing. It's an often kind of thing. You should often do a vignette. But I don't think it's so solid that you should say you should always. Sometimes the corners, fade to light. And that's very effective as well. And again, the composition of this painting is identifying the light area as an upside down C or a horseshoe, with the exception of this white pop right there, which works very well. So I'm not sure how that fits into the overall composition, but clearly the light areas like that starts with the truck, through the house, through the sky up here, and finishes with the boat, with another punch of white light right there. Anyway, I think the composition works very well. I'm going to end this broadcast right here. How about that? Really, for once, Dan Nelson does a YouTube video the way he's supposed to, in 10 or 12 minutes or something like that. And that's all. So but I will tell you where I'm going from here, however. Now that this is wet, actually where I'm going is to my wedding painting, but that's another story. Where I'm going with this painting is I will do dark details, so small brushes, like that. Doing dark stuff, I'll do just a few minutes of it. Wherever I want stuff to be darker. One place will almost certainly be doing these branches of these trees again. I did some of this exact thing right here. I did some of this yesterday, and then followed up by doing sky holes, tree holes, if you will. And now I'm doing the twiggy. There's a lot of, in the photograph, in reality, there's a lot of twiggy, bare branches in these trees. And it's part of the charm of the scene, in my opinion, was these twiggy, bare branches sticking out against the sky. And then I'll follow up later. I'll come back and punch in the bits of sky holes, or tree holes, as I like to call them. But this is what I'll do next: dark details, and then finish with light, and I'm ready for the next phase after that. All right. Thanks for watching. Hey, David. Yes, rose in transparent is definitely magenta. That is exactly correct. My favorite magenta color happens to be permanent rose. Yeah, exactly right. All right. That's all, gang. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back later today. Bye-bye.